Let's be honest, folks. The idea of job security is about as real as a unicorn riding a dragon while juggling Bigfoot's hairballs. Companies love to talk a big game about family and valued team members, but let's not kid ourselves. When push comes to shove, and profits take a dip, that family photo gets tossed faster than a moldy takeout container. We've all been there, right? You're killing it at work, exceeding expectations, maybe even getting a gold star or two slapped on your performance review. But here's the kicker, none of that guarantees you anything. Remember Blockbuster? They were top dog in the video rental game and then gone, vanished, out of business. And what about all those valued team members? Well, they learned the hard way that loyalty only goes so far. The truth is, companies deep down are like giant money-hungry sharks. They care about one thing, that sweet, sweet profit. And if sacrificing a few employees means staying afloat, well, consider those folks chum in the water. It's a tough pill to swallow, I know. But understanding this harsh reality is the first step to protecting yourself in this crazy, ever-changing job market. So buckle up, Buttercup, because we're about to dive deep into the murky waters of corporate America. Imagine a giant ship sailing on the open ocean. That ship is your company. Now imagine that ship starts taking on water. What happens? Panic sets in, alarms blare, and the captain starts making tough decisions. But here's the thing, they don't start tossing cargo overboard first. Nope, they start with the passengers. And who are those passengers? You guessed it, the employees, the folks in marketing, the IT crew, maybe even some poor souls in accounting. They're the first to get the boot, thrown overboard to lighten the load and keep the ship, and those precious profits, afloat. Now you might be thinking, but John, I'm a valuable asset. I'm practically the engine room on this ship. And you might be right. But here's the cold, hard truth. Companies don't always make rational decisions. They panic. They cut costs where it's easiest, not necessarily where it makes the most sense. Remember Toys R Us? They were a childhood institution. But mismanagement, debt, and the rise of online retailers led to their demise. Thousands of employees lost their jobs, not because they weren't good at what they did, but because the company failed to adapt and evolve. This is the reality of the modern job market. You're not just competing with your colleagues, you're competing with automation, outsourcing, and the ever-present bottom line. So how can you tell if your company is about to start handing out pink slips like confetti at a going out of business sale? Well, there are some telltale signs like a sudden drop in stock price or whispers of a merger or acquisition. Keep your ears open for rumors of budget cuts or hiring freezes. If you notice your workload increasing while your colleagues start disappearing faster than free donuts in the break room, well, that's a pretty good indicator that something's up. Another red flag, a sudden influx of consultants. Companies love bringing in these so-called experts to streamline operations or maximize efficiency. But let's be real, those are just fancy ways of saying find ways to get rid of people. Look, I'm not saying you should panic at the first sign of trouble, but it's important to be aware of what's happening around you. Pay attention to the news, keep your ear to the ground within your company, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Remember, knowledge is power, and in the game of corporate survival, you need all the power you can get. So what can you do to protect yourself in this volatile job market? First and foremost, never ever ever stop learning. The moment you become complacent is the moment you become expendable. Take courses, attend workshops, read industry publications, become an expert in your field, someone your company can't afford to lose, and don't be afraid to branch out and learn new skills. The more versatile you are, the more valuable you become. Next, build your network. Attend industry events, connect with people on LinkedIn, and don't be afraid to reach out to people you admire for advice or mentorship. Remember, it's not just about what you know, it's who you know. Finally, and this is crucial, always be prepared to walk away. Have an emergency fund saved up, keep your resume updated, and don't be afraid to explore other opportunities, even if you're relatively happy in your current role. Look, the job market is a jungle, but you don't have to be a helpless gazelle. By staying informed, continuously learning, and building a strong network, you can become a lion, ready to take on whatever challenges come your way. Stay vigilant, my friends, and always remember, your career is in your hands.